Hey, how you doing? Have a seat. Here's a topic I've been meaning to cover for a while now. Loli. Loli as a genre, Loli as an idea, and also Loli as a social construct. And if you're this far into the video, sitting here watching this and wondering which side of the fence in the realm of Loli that Demolition D Plus calls home, well, shame on you. Good God, it was a joke! Lolicon, a Japanese phrase adapted from the term Lolita complex coined off of Vladimir Nabokov's novel Lolita, in which a middle-aged man wants to nail his young stepdaughter, is a nice way of calling someone a pedophile in Japan, although it's grown into much more than just that. And here's how. The infiltration of loli in the Japanese mainstream media is how. A collective, casual delivery and assurance is how. Let's use one of my most favorite anime series as an example, the 2009 cult hit Bakemonogatari. I love Bake. I love everything about it, mostly. That was until after a few episodes in, then they introduced the 10-year-old girl and she's fondled profusely by our high school protagonist, which immediately sets off red flags to anyone not familiar with anime, but even this I was generally okay with in the beginning. It was a racy jape within the series. Koyomi, our main character, did it to mess with her. It really didn't feel like there was any sincerity or provocation behind his actions, and it never escalated past anything other than, haha, gotcha, now you're not pure anymore, and it becomes a running gag between the two characters later on. This is an example of what I consider an inappropriate infiltration of twisted humor within an otherwise culturally sound work. And I'm not necessarily saying it was at all my favorite part of the show, in fact it was my least favorite, but it's nothing that I was ready to flip a tit over. Then last year, Nisei Monogatari happened. Then earlier this year, the Monogatari second season happened, and these racy japes became more than that. The implied sexual attraction towards this character became downright blatant. It was no longer possible to ignore and evolved past just messing around to a level of titillation that I didn't feel comfortable with. Then more characters like her were given breadth, with scenes of identical implication, and even more were introduced. And this, coupled with a very lackluster plot in comparison to Bake, which of course is another video for another time, didn't help me to swallow the realization of just how socially acceptable the theme of perversely interacting with unbelievably young girls has become. Wikipedia tells us that studies of Lolicon fans state that Lolicon fans are attracted to an aesthetic of cuteness rather than the age of the characters, which is what the pedo self-defense force will throw at you anytime you attempt to debate them on the topic, and I believe that this right here is a ripe example of just how bullshit this entire scenario is. So you like cute things. Who doesn't? Cute things are charming, and as human beings we crave to be charmed. Putting your dick in cute things is an entirely different concept. Nagisa Furukawa is cute, so is her little daughter. Guess which one would be able to handle vaginal penetration a little better? Are you feeling nauseous yet with all this talk of dicking kids? Good! That means that you're on the right train of thought. Are you feeling hot and bothered? Well, stick around. Maybe it's not too late for a little intervention. The notion of cute things being sullied in a sexual light is a natural emotion that a lot of men and women both share, and, to a certain extent, is totally okay. You want to rail Nagisa's big dumb face because she's probably never seen a penis before. That's the attraction of innocence, and it's an understandable but dangerous line to tread, especially when confronted with the phenomenon anime known as Lolicon. It can sometimes be difficult to understand just how Japan and this sinister realm of pseudo-pedophilia complement one another. But before trying to do so, know this. Japan is not this creepy fantasy land where everyone's okay with wanting to pillage the poopers of every 10-year-old that crosses her path in the street, animated or otherwise. There is a huge outcry against this sexual nature there, and it is far more present and severe than any angry soccer mom protest that you'll see in the West. And these flames of conflict have been fanned by, you guessed it, the anime industry. I love anime. For all of its stereotypes and rehashes, anime to me is a swath of monotony-shattering excess that I absolutely lap up, both the good and the bad. What worries me is how close to home this problem hits within the anime community. What I mean by that is, to a lot of people, this subgenre is not a mystery. It's relatively well known that these aspects are incorporated into popular shows such as the Monogatari series and Haganai, and this causes some people to swear off the medium as a whole, dubbing it pedo shit before they even seen their first episode of Bebop or Shampoo, and that's not cool, man. That's not cool. Take a look at shows like Rokyobu and Kodomo no Jikan, which I believe roughly translates into children's time? I choose these as an example of Lolicon being presented in a positive light in the media over other, even more controversial titles such as various hentai series and video games that pander exclusively to those who want to sex 2D children because these series are considered mainstream in Japan. These are television shows that air for all to see, and you can argue about it as much as you want, but there is no denying that these series are in some way or another influential, meaning they make an impression. And for someone who, say, may be struggling with whether or not their sexual attraction to little girls is not only socially acceptable, but morally sound, what kind of impression do you think this is going to make? Oh, there are others like me who watch this stuff. Oh, this is on TV, so it can't be all that bad. Oh, they're 2D, so it doesn't matter. And that right there is one of the worst mistakes anyone can make when accepting themselves as Lolicons. Yeah, I'm proud to be a Lolicon. Yeah. No, you're a pedophile, a term that's far less glamorous than the former, but equally as synonymous, regardless of how you want to sugarcoat it. But Demo, they're not real. I have no interest in filthy 3D children. Behold the last line of defense. This is likely what you'll hear more than anything else when discussing this topic, and it is quite easily the most disturbing counter-argument in the arsenal. If you think this way, you seem to be under the misconception that we're all rallying for the rights of fictional characters, when in reality, it is the idea that is most volatile, not just the actions. You act as though since there's no action, i.e. you not raping little girls in the real world, then everything is fine, when no one's actually worried about that most of the time, to be honest. It's the idea that's sickening, and the passing on of that idea as a viable notion that disturbs. We don't want to have sexual intercourse and in turn potentially harm an underdeveloped elementary school girl or boy's body and mind. That would be wrong. What we want to do is do that to fictional ones. Oh, well, forgive me and my baseless accusations. Please go on and continue being a non-threatening member of society, you and your desire to be a fictional kitty fiddler, you righteous and just individual. It's this ideology that is numbing, and on the other end of the spectrum, possibly twisting a fragile and malleable youth, just beginning to delve deep into the medium of anime. And that is part of being a person with moral value. Being able to live life and be affected by your surroundings as an avid anime viewer, such as seeing lolly-centric shows airing in Japan alongside the latest Mobile Suit Gundam clone, while still being able to tell the difference between right and wrong. It's not a moral gray area that you're treading on here, and treating it as such is spiritually rending. So then maybe you understand all this. Maybe you know that you have a problem, but you just don't find yourself being attracted to big titty bimbos. Maybe it's purely a physical attractive conflict and you prefer the petite form over others. That's fine. Man, that is completely natural. That's called having a varied taste in body types, and it isn't something that's even remotely an issue. Shows like High School DxD know this stuff. It's pretty basic, and they tailor their character designs to it. Oh, you like fat tits? Of course you do. Here's a large. Not quite in the mood for something that heavy? Try a medium. Just looking for a little snack? Have a small. But for God's sake, stay away from the kids' meals. They're for fucking kids.